Hello and welcome, guys. Thank you for joining me again for another night of Facebook Live. Also, thank you guys that are joining me on the replay from YouTube and or SoundCloud. It is indeed a blessing to be here with you tonight. This is another audience pick topic, and tonight we're going to talk about setting the pace for your own lane. Setting the pace for your own lane. You've heard that saying, stay in your own lane, stay in your lane. And this is a popular saying now, not only amongst the business people, but also when it comes to our careers, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to relationships. So I just want to address a little bit on this. I won't spend a whole lot of time tonight. It's just good to have you, my audience, providing feedback and giving me some ideas on topics that you like for me to address. And first of all, let me just say that I'm grateful that you trust me enough to address these topics and to give you my insight or my opinion on that. It really means a lot. Also, it gives me something really to consider and think about in my own business and in my own life. So it is indeed a blessing to be here. And as you're joining me, please like and share this video. And if you have any questions or comment, or if you that are watching me now have a topic that you would like for me to speak about or address, a topic idea, that is what I'm doing this week. I didn't want to start a series this week, so I wanted to be able to come and have a conversation with you about things that you'd like to talk about that maybe you haven't heard someone speak on. And so that is what I'm doing. So tonight I am addressing to stay in your own lane. And what I mean by set the pace for your own lane is that many times, like even in business, we see people doing business, the same type of businesses, or offering the same type of products or services that we offer. Now, let me just say that that's the American way. But if you've listened to me before, you also know that just because somebody else is doing or providing the same thing that you are, it doesn't mean that you can't do it because someone else is doing it. Because what you offer is so unique because it's you. And that is what sets you apart from the rest. So there are many people, like I said before, that can sit in front of you on a platform like this and discuss topics with you, and they have great ideas and great opinions, and they can present it in a way that could be more enticing to you and appeasing to you, but nevertheless, they're not me. Their experiences are not my experiences, and they may not offer some transparency like I offered the transparency. So that is what I mean by set the pace for your lane. I don't want to get caught up in watching everybody else and seeing how everybody else do it, that I try to be more like them. What I do is unique, and I don't want to be like anybody else. I don't want to be a imitation of what somebody else does. I don't want their personality. I don't want to come on and look the way they look. I just want to be me. I'm comfortable in being who I am. And that way, if I focus on who I am and what I do well, then that means I'm setting the pace for my lane. I'm comfortable here. this is my purpose here. Okay, but when I get to looking at my competitors and what they're offering and how they do things, and I get that little jealous feeling, then I'm getting out of my lane, right? Because now I'm no longer focused on what my purpose and my vision for what I do is. Now I'm trying to do it like somebody else. So then I'm not authentic, and then I become an imitation of what somebody else is doing. And so I have to play catch up, trying to do it like somebody else. So maybe the services you offer aren't generating the revenue that another company is, and y'all are providing the same products. Well, instead of getting out of your lane, it's good to just look and see what the competitors are doing. What are they doing well? Where can they improve? So you look at that as a platform to where you are learning. What kind of marketing strategies are they using? What kind of partnerships are they connected to? So when you do that, you're looking at it as a student learning, taking in information, and then looking to see what and how you can apply to your business or your service or your platform to improve and expand your own. Not to be like theirs, but to be a better you. Okay, so I look at this pandemic where a lot of the people were creating the mask and different things like that. Do you know that there are over 1 billion people in this world? Okay, so with that being said, no one person making masks can serve all these people. So I said that to say this: whatever your service or your product is offering, there is enough that all of us can eat. There is enough places to speak publicly like I do. There's enough authors out here to write a book like I do. There's enough people to educate these kids like I do. So it is what it is. I don't find myself trying to compete. I find myself focusing on living out my purpose. And whatever that is, I'm pacing myself and staying grounded for what I am destined to do. So if yours is making masks, make your mask and make your money and build up your clientele and do what you do and stay focused on what you do. Don't try to look at what your competitors are doing and how much revenue they're generating and how they're able to get their clients and things like that, and be envious of that. Because when you do that, you find yourself biting off more than you can chew. And I know that you've heard that saying before, biting off more than you can chew. Because to the eye, it looks big and glamorous, and you want to do that. And then it turns into jealousy and greed and other things. And then you find yourself where you're so off focus, you can't even stay in your lane because you don't even know where your lane is. So think about that. T-shirt industry is another. People don't want to put in the work to really do what they need to do to get their business the way that they want it, but they want to manipulate people and play the pity party and the victim and all this because no one's buying from you. Well, what are you doing to market your business, market your service, so that you appeal to the people that your clients, your potential clients that you want to buy from you? You know, so nobody owes us nothing, and we have to think about staying in our own lane, finding what we do and what we do well, stick with that, and put the work in more or less put the work in. Now, also in leadership roles, you know, when we're in a role where we have a title or leadership, you know, that's another thing. Nobody wants to take the back seat to somebody else and let somebody else lead. But I put a post out last week, sometime a few days ago, that said even the greatest leaders need someone to lead them sometime. And that is so true. And this is why sometimes in our leadership we get stagnant. We get stagnant sometimes. And we see this a lot of times in organizations, to where the organization does well up until a certain point, and then it just seems like it's stagnant and it just can't move forward from there. And this is why in our lane we have to realize that we can only go as far as our knowledge takes us. And if we stop learning, or if we stop reaching out for mentorship, or if we stop expanding our perceptions by reading and researching, then that's when our organizations become stagnant. So sometimes we have to reach out to other leaders, people that may know a little bit more of something than we do, so that we can grow and expand. And when we do that, that's when we'll see ourselves moving a little bit farther. One organization that I'm talking about as a whole, because it's one that I'm most familiar with, is the church. The church has been in a crisis for a while. And the crisis that the church has been in for so long is a financial crisis. Well, being that it's so widespread over our world, because it's not only in our area, it's everywhere, where you hear these people say the church is in a financial crisis, that we just don't have the funds coming in like they used to. To me, for those that are not able to come out of that rut, it goes back to leadership. What can our leaders do to help get past this financial crisis? So to stay in our lane, yes, we get out of our lane when we go to scamming and manipulating and all these things to get the money or the resources that we need to function. So staying in our lane means that now we've identified a problem, and now it may take the heads of our churches, of our leaderships and our organizations coming together to figure out what can we do now to move forward. But see, if we're not comfortable in the lane that we are, and we're jealous of this one over here, and intimidated by this one over there, then the heads don't come together, and the solution is just waiting in the gap. Because we can't come together as heads, as leaders, to come together to solve an issue that really somebody is holding the solution for it too. But we have to come together. We have to be comfortable in our lane. We have to be team players, and we have to be willing to mentor one another. Also in relationships. And I know that so often we're seeking relationships and we don't even know where we stand in the relationship. We're so far out of our lane that we just look ridiculous, guys. We just look ridiculous. Trying to seek these relationships and playing games and stuff like that. Let's just stop. Let's just stop right there. Because for one, if he don't belong to you, you can play all the game you want. Once you get him, you'll realize that you didn't want him in the first place, guys. He wasn't even worth having. You'll find yourself tired of that game and he'll find himself ready to move on to another. So stay in our lane. Let's be comfortable with who we are. Let's stop pretending and putting on a show and being in a competition with one another over a relationship that's not worth 25 cents. Let's just stop and let's just be real about it. One thing that I found is that when I was so insecure and so uncomfortable with who I was and pretending and trying to get a relationship and all this, just all out my lane, just all out my head, doing all this crazy stuff that uh, I knew that I really didn't want the relationship anyway, just out there just for the sport of it, which so many of you are. You're out there just it's a sport, it's a game, competing with the other woman or whatever. Guys, just stop. When you're in your own lane, you're comfortable in who you are. You don't have to play a game. You don't have to compete with somebody else. Your mind is focused on you. Your mind is then focused on your goals. Your mind is focused on your family, not tearing down somebody else's, not playing the game when you know that you're not even fully committed because you have two or three more on the side running in a lane every now and then too. We know this because anybody that's not secure in themselves, you're not secure in a relationship. You're not secure in yourself. You're not secure in the relationship. Because the next thing that comes along that looks a little bit better or give you a better competition in the game of relations, then you're gonna be all game too. So let's just stop. Let's stay in our own lane. Let's get focused. Let's build each other up. Let's work on ourselves so that the relationships that we do seek out, they're quality relationships. You don't have to feel inferior. You do not feel like you always have to be in competition mode. And you can focus on building just that without all the unnecessary distractions. Have you ever seen a track runner run? See, when I was in school, I was a athlete, and I considered myself a track star. So when we run track, there is a lane about so wide. And no matter if I was running 50 yards, no matter if I was running 100 yards, 400 yards, no matter how far I ran, I had a lane that I had to stay in. So in order for me to run and stay in that lane, I had to be focused on where I was in that track. So one foot in front of the other, you had to maintain focus, because if you ran out of your lane to the right or to the left into somebody's lane, you were disqualified. So all I'm saying, guys, is set your own pace for your own lane. It's necessary in anything you do. And if anytime you find yourself to where you're overwhelmed or you can't focus on you from having to worry about the distractions going on around you, then that's something where you have to come back to the middle, get yourself together, stay focused in your own lane. How can you be better? How can you make your products and services better? How can you make your relationships better? This is what it's all about. No competition. Just you being the best you that you can be and being satisfied with just that. Trusting others so that you can learn from them, but then coming on along, applying what's necessary to you and what you have going, and being the most authentic, genuine owner, woman, entrepreneur that you can be. All right, guys. I hope that you have a good night. I'll see you here again tomorrow night for another Facebook Live.